Hello, everyone. My name is Giovanni Briseño, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about my intern experience at Intel and kind of go over some of the things for anybody who's looking to intern or even to be full-time hire of kind of what the application process is like in terms of what Intel looks for and what the employers look for, the hires, managers, and whatnot. And then I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about expectations as an intern and then kind of go into what you might expect going through your internship. So I'm going to make this brief and to the point just so you guys can get the gist. So first thing, creating a strong application, what it is that Intel actually values. So kind of going over the main items that you might see, and this is kind of formatted like a resume, because obviously this is going to be what you're turning in. So for majors, there's not really a specific type of major that they're looking for. I mean, engineering is obviously preferred, but it doesn't have to be a specific type of engineer. For instance, I was an electrical engineer, but I work with a bunch of chemical engineers, and there's a lot of chemistry in the semiconductor industry. Worked with mechanical engineers, nuclear engineers even. So really, they just want somebody with engineering sort of background. And as for GPAs, typical looking for anything above 3.5 for bachelor's or graduate GPA. Typically, the graduate GPA seems to be a little higher because classes are less. There's less classes, but still 3.5 is pretty good sweet spot. As long as you're above that, you should be, pretty okay. As for schools, they're not really any preference on schools either. I mean, I know some companies only want people from prestigious, super expensive schools, but really, I mean, especially at the Intel and Rio Rancho, they just, any ABET accredited is fine. I mean, honestly, more than half, or if not over half of the people I work with are all from all around the country or even outside the country. So, no need to worry about that. So some skills that to look for. Main one is usually the basic engineering problem solving skills. A lot of the stuff that you'll be learning at Intel, they actually have separate classes for that you'll take whenever you start your internship. It kind of goes over like how to use the apps and whatnot, software and stuff like that, and just things that are Intel specific. So, I mean, having experience like, I don't know, coding and stuff like that is nice and might help you in the longer run. But really, I mean, you just need to have the basic engineering problem solving skills, which kind of goes into the most important thing that they look for, which is experience. So this is what you kind of want to spend the most time on, especially if you've done any sort of prior internships or you've been on any sort of projects or any sort of research teams. So, for instance, they kind of like it as follows, these three sort of things they look for. So they want us to see, what was the project you worked on? What was the lab or whatever it is you worked on? How you specifically were involved in the tasks, and what it was you were assigned, your job duties, and basically what was the ending results of that particular project you worked on. Whether it's good or bad, I mean, they want to know, they don't want just a generic saying, I built a rocket and I did this on the team. So they want to know like what it is that came out of that and what specifically you faced and kind of challenges and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be super long, but I mean, just like, a few sentences for this Intel experience, or I'm sorry, this project experience that you might have. And I just have an example here, like you're on a lab team building a drone. For instance, your job was making sure the drone's programming was functioning properly and sending correct controller commands. Like, again, I'm an EE, so kind of just using that as an example. And then the last one, the ending results, the drone ended up not flying due to a flawed propeller design and insufficient motor power. So, I mean, even though the project wasn't successful, you can kind of say this is what your job was and your portion was successful. So that's what really counts. What to expect as an intern. So, as you guys know, Intel is in the semiconductor industry, meaning we do a bunch of different processor chips across the world, but the one in Rio Rancho specifically has three main technologies that we work on. So there's silicon photonics, or SIP, which is actually the area I'm in. There's Foveros, which is our code name, which is public knowledge, of course, for our die-to-die 3D stacking. And if you want to look up more on that, you could just type in Foveros and it'll give you a nice little video of how that works. And then the other last one is EMIB, which is our in-package high-density interconnect of heterogeneous chips. I will say Phobos is our becoming our heavy runner now. We started ramping that up this year as of 2023 and doing a bunch of ramping up of that because this is our technology that we got a contract for a couple of years ago. So we've just been ramping that up, and that's been pretty heavy based in the factory. So chances are you might be working on that. Other things to expect. So when you first start your internship, I mean, this is probably standard with any sort of internship. It's gonna be a lot of classes, pretty steep learning curve. So you're gonna be thrown, assigned 30 or so classes and courses that you have to take. Some of them online, some of them in person, some of them kind of as a hybrid sort of online. Like you don't have to physically be in the classroom, but you'll have to attend a meeting online. So these, you'll expect that for probably the first month, for sure, before you get into anything. Um, and after you get past that, every engineer in your group is likely going to be busy with a bunch of meetings and stuff, and it takes up a good majority of their time. So what they'll need you to do is help them with their smaller projects or sub projects. They're usually part of a larger one. So that's where you come in and you basically, you know, coming straight out of school or whatever it is, and you don't have very many meetings, of course. So good that you can utilize your time and spend a full day on stuff where your more superior engineers might not be able to. So um, experiences obviously are going to differ. So for instance, I interned in a couple different areas. I interned in thin films, and then I interned also in um, another group called Yield Systems, where I did a lot of different coding and stuff. The thin films, I did a little bit more hands-on work with the tools that we have in the fab. And then I also interned in dry etch, which is what I'm in now. So uh, all these experiences have been different. I mean, there's a bunch of different things I've listed for the different areas that we have here, but and the list goes on and on. So as I mentioned here, we may you may be more hands-on with the fabrication tools. So as you know, there's a giant clean room inside of Intel, and your work as an intern might be going in there and looking at the tools or pulling some stuff for people or working with the techs to understand the tools, and then bringing that information back to the engineers. Or it might be more computer analysis based, which is kind of what the my yield systems group was. We didn't actually have any tools per se that we own, but rather we did a bunch of data analysis of data coming in from a yield standpoint. So yeah, so it can vary, all across the board. And so basically, can't tell you one specific thing that we work on, but uh, there'll definitely be plenty of work to do as an intern. So also, I think whenever you're an intern or even a new hire, you are required to be on site for at least 4 out of the 5 days. That's when everyone that's considered full time on site. They might, depending on your manager, I mean, you might expect you to come in that fifth day, which I mean, I would just expect that in the beginning, so you're not, let down. But it is a 5 day, sort of on-site thing, which is actually nice because, it's a lot easier, as I say here, going up to someone like your trainer or your buddy or whoever it is and asking them questions like next to the cube rather than sending like a Teams chat because a lot of people get Teams chats, which is how we communicate, and they kind of just don't see them or they typically ignore them, but they can't really ignore you when you're blatantly in their face. So that's why it's good to be on site. And you learn a lot more too, because especially if you're going down on the tools and checking those out. So lastly, goals of the internship, what is it that you're trying to get out of this? Or what is it that your manager expects or Intel expects? And the answer to that is pretty simple. I mean, your goal is to try to become a valued asset of the team, Can others depend on you to do your job, right? Or do the job, right? And within a timely manner. I mean, it's a semiconductor business, it's a manufacturing business. So on a day-to-day basis, things arise that engineers, come in and work and they see, oh, look, this is having issues. Can you resolve that issue right away? I mean, because if you're not able to, then that slows down processing, it slows down manufacturing, and that can go all the way up the line. So I'm not saying you specifically as an intern will have to do that, but I mean, it is nice to be like an asset of the team if one of your engineers is overloaded and they're like, hey, can you do this for me while I work on this? So that's the pretty basic goal. But I mean, overall, these internships, and this is coming from personal experience and also from what I've been told by multiple managers, is these internships are meant to be a channel for you to be hired as a full time. We don't just hire interns for the sake of hiring interns to say, look, we have interns here. No, we like hire interns as a channel kind of for you to become full time. And in most cases, if you're successful and kind of meet the criteria of, yeah, you're a value asset or you're able to get the job right or get the gist of it, then usually they'll contact you and follow up with you asking when you're going to graduate and, you know, potentially offer you the offer letter. And usually with that, I mean, you don't really have to do another interview, right? I mean, your interview is kind of your internship. So you've already proven to your managers and whoever else that, yeah, you're capable and you can be hired full time. So that's the nice thing about that. That's what happened in my case. And that's happened in another guy's case in my group, actually, who was an intern and he got offered to become full time without an interview. So, but yeah, this is pretty much covers it. I mean, of course, I could ramble on about all the other things, but I mean, those are the three major things to kind of look for and what to expect as an internship. So, if you ever need a reference or someone to submit your, resume to at least get you to the interview process, you can definitely talk to me. My name right here. I've gotten the slides. I think it might be on the side here too, but yeah, I can leave my email too along with this YouTube post. So, with that, I'll let you guys get back to it. So, thank you.